Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's episode 5 of Screw the Commute. And we've got a great guest here today. His name is Jeff Herring. I'll tell you about him in a second. Right now, I wonder if you would like to lose anywhere from $85,000 to $340,000. Maybe not. Well, if you're looking at any higher education for yourself or your children or nephews or nieces or anybody you know, your neighbors, that's very likely what might happen to you. So I'm on my hands and knees here begging you to listen to the webinar on higher education at screwthecommute.com. You can hear it. It'll be in the show notes for today's show, and we'll have it several places on the site. But don't spend a nickel on higher education until you listen to this webinar. So let's get to the main event. Jeff Herring is the content marketing guy. His students discover how to create and market their content for more prospects, publicity, and profits. As a former counseling psychologist, Jeff began to write a syndicated relationship column. And he's got dogs, and we love dogs, and this is perfect for Screw the Commute. You work at your home, and you enjoy your animals and your kids, and sometimes your animals and kids are like one and the same. I don't know.
Amen.
So then he decided to trade his counseling couch for a marketing mouse. Jeff teaches his system to his students around the world so they can get their life-changing message to people who can only hear it from them. Now, why does he do all this? So you can make a difference and a profit. And we're so glad that Jeff was able to take a break from his Dancing with the Stars routine that he could visit with us today. Thanks, Jeff. I got one question for you.
I tried to keep that quiet, but I guess it got out.
It did. You'll have to tell us about it. But I got one important question for you, Jeff.
What's that, pal?
Are you ready to screw the commute?
Absolutely. We've been doing it for years. Let's keep doing it, Tom.
All right. So let's tell them about that first, though. You just had a momentous occasion in your life.
Absolutely. Just recently, my oldest son got married to his girlfriend of 6 years.
Just recently, it was very quickly when we're recording this. But are you sore from all the dancing?
I don't think I danced that much in one night ever. And yeah, today is kind of a rest day. You know, this turning 60 stuff kind of gets to you with the dancing, right?
Oh, you're still wet behind the ears. I'm going to be 63.
See, I knew I would get no sympathy here.
So tell us about what you do, man.
Well, what I do is I help people that are experts, just regular people like you and I, take their message and turn it into content that they can promote and market and then turn into information products to make a difference in the world and to make a profit as well.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're just a regular person. You're an extraordinary individual. Don't argue with me. Don't argue with me.
I think the same of you.
So now I know personally, but tell everybody else that you used to have a job.
Yep, sure did. Even though technically it was working for myself, it was a job because it was hour after hour. As a counseling psychologist, I had a full-time private practice for 25 years. And it was great helping people, and it was great making, upwards of $150 an hour. But guess what? I was locked into that hour. I couldn't figure out how to get people to pay me if I wasn't there. And so, it was a nice return on investment, but I had to be there hour after hour after hour. And after a few years of it, people used to ask me all the time, how do you listen to people all day? And my answer was always, who listens? But when you do, you go home with your ears and your face sore from talking and listening all day.
Tell me the truth. Did you ever fall asleep during a session?
You know what? I never did, Tom, and I was
You wouldn't
disappointed
admit
too.
it if you did.
Well, I was disappointed too because I had a plan for that. Because if I ever did, when I woke up, I was going to tell my client that it was a new technique called dream therapy. Was having a dream about how to solve their problem.
Well, do you remember the moment, or was there a moment when you decided, you know what, this is over, I'm going to go out on my own?
There were really two. And one of them was my son's mom divorcing me and moving from Florida to Georgia with the boys, and I had to get mobile. And so this internet thing that I was playing with had to become the main thing. And what was driving that beforehand and what really drove it with this was that I realized that the internet was a way to get the message I was delivering, one-on-one or a family at a time or a couple at a time, hour to hour in my office, out to thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people in a whole lot less time.
So would you suggest that method of getting divorced for people that want to start a business?
Well, it's one way.
I mean, you were a marriage and family counselor, so.
Yeah. And what was funny about that is when that happened, I thought, man, what happens if my patients find out? So I just decided to take the direct approach and told them. And 201, everyone, Tom, said, well, now you really get it. I went, all right, fine. So while getting divorced and having to move is a good motivator, it is not a necessary set of criteria
okay.
For doing this.
So what advice would you have for people that are thinking about, I really want to get out of what I'm doing. I want to start my own business. I want to be like Jeff. What advice would you give to somebody that's stuck in that other setting with the JOB?
Stop thinking and start doing.
Okay.
Simple as that. Stop thinking and start doing. And start by doing, I mean making plans to make that switch. Now, I'm not saying drop everything and start a business, although that can work. Okay. But start doing this stuff. There comes a point when you've taken enough courses, you've been to enough classes, you've done enough, what we say here in the South, fixing to. Mm-hmm. It's time to do. And so start doing and do it part-time. People say all the time, well, I work full-time, I don't have time. Well, how many reruns do you have to watch of other people living life before you decide, to go build your own, right?
And speaking of reruns, I was just doing some research on this, and people watch 35.6 hours of TV a week, which is 77 days out of a year. All right, so there's
36.5 hours a week.
Yeah, 35.6 was the figures
That's
from Nielsen.
Day and a half.
Exactly, and it's even worse with teenagers. Doing anything. And I ask them, are any of those shows doing anything to build your financial security or get you out of the rat race? And for other than maybe Shark Tank inspiring you, no, it's not. So turn the darn TV off and you'll have more than enough time to start a part-time business.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Give us some tips on if people wanted to do what you do.
In my system, Tom, thanks to you, I keep it simple. And it's three things. The first one is create content every day. Okay, create a value piece of your message every day. And I'm not talking about a book or a webinar or a big, large thing. It could be small parts. A Facebook update, a 2 to 5 minute talking head video, a Facebook Live video, a blog post. Do that every day. And the second one, a lot of people forget. They've created that content and they don't put it out there.
Well, you started with articles, right? I mean, just short articles, right? They weren't like 3,000 word articles.
No, I'd been doing for the newspaper for years and years a 650 word relationship article. And then when I found out you could do like 200 to 400 words online, I thought, okay, I can do that. And so can everybody else. And the good news, folks, in step 2 is there's so many places, including some new ones, where you can place that content now to get traffic, to get visibility, and to build your list. And then the third thing, and in my system, part of what happens is when you're creating content, you're also creating your information products. So instead of sitting down to create an information product, starting from scratch, you go find that content you've already created and enlarge it, make it bigger, say more about it, compile it. There's many things you can do to it. to create the information products that make a difference in the world and make a profit for you.
Now, are you still selling those templates that you had to get to stimulate ideas? I mean, I still use them. If I'm hard up for an idea, I just go and look at those templates that I got from you years and years ago.
Yep, I remember you helping me create those years and years ago, and it's still one of my best-selling products. And within the last couple of years, we turned it into a set of software too to make it even easier.
Okay, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes for this show because, folks, you just sit down and it just, boom, stimulates and gives you an ABC on what to do, and you fill in the blanks, and boom, you got a piece of content. I mean, without hardly even blinking. It's that
Absolutely.
really, it's fantabulous.
And with the software, all you got to do is answer a few questions, and just answering the questions makes you a better expert in your niche. And, you whack a button and then there's your content.
Yeah. And this isn't like it's going to be something that's plagiarized or something that's an exact duplicate of what somebody else did with the template. It's still going to be your words and a unique piece of content that belongs to you. And this is called intellectual property. This is what can really make you rich. And it's kind of an insurance policy, Jeff, I think, that having all this intellectual property where you create it once and it works for you forever, unless it's going obsolete. But a lot of the things are evergreen, we call them. So they last for a long time. So
Absolutely. Over and over and over again.
So have you ever gotten screwed? No, wait, hold a minute. In business, wait a minute.
One of the things that to be true and I found to be true is the deeper you get into this and the higher you go and the more people you reach, the more people that want to copy you.
Mm-hmm.
And, the first time that ever happened, somebody took actually the templates we're talking about and put them on their own site with a sales letter pretty much like mine or was mine in many, many ways. So fortunately, I knew someone who knew the guy that was in charge of that guy. And so we just called a little meeting and had a conversation, and that got stopped.
And his name was Vinny, and he had a baseball bat.
That's right. And two or three big guys with their arms folded behind.
So that's good. You got that taken care of. But you do have to be careful in business because the more successful you are, the all kinds of people you attract. So anything crazy, funny happened to you?
When my son, who got married last night, is 23, was 1 year old, I was thinking about a way to write a column about that for the newspaper and talk about the first year of parenting. And I was looking for the hook to do that. And that hook came at 3 a.m. one morning. And you'll appreciate this. I told this story at his rehearsal dinner. He woke up screaming and crying. It was my turn to get him. And all the tricks to get him to sleep weren't working. And I'd remembered that recently I'd been driving him around in the car to get him to nod off to sleep. So we went for our drive. The only problem was I was in T-shirt and underwear, figuring nobody would see us, right? So we went for the drive, a route we'd taken every night or morning. We'd done this before then that worked. And so this time it wasn't working. And I pulled up to a stoplight and turned onto another road and went faster in frustration. And John started to nod off. And I thought, okay, I just need to go faster. Well, some of you can see where this is going. About the time I thought I either need to go home or out to the interstate, the flashing lights started.
Oh,
and
boy.
Tallahassee Police Department was pulling me over. And so I'm praying for a couple things as I pull over. One, let it be a cop that's got kids, maybe even a grandfather, have some understanding of what's going on here. And please, God, don't let it be somebody that reads my column because I don't want to be recognized at this moment in time, right? So up walks 25-year-old Officer Bradshaw with acne still on his face.
Oh, boy.
Shining a light into John's face, which is the perfect cure for a screaming, crying child.
Right.
And the first question was, let me see your driver's license and proof of registration. I said, well, officer, we got a problem. It's about a mile down this road to the right. Be glad to have you follow me, and I'll show it to you. It's too late for that. I never cracked a smile.
Oh.
And then came the question I was dreading. You got an idea what that was, Tom?
Anything dangerous in the car? Please get out of the car.
Yes. Would you step out of the car,
yeah.
please? Yeah. And I looked down. I said, well, officer, we got another problem. Now, mind you, he was being a smart cop. He was back from the door checking me out. And he stepped forward, and all he sees are these two skinny pale legs sticking out of a T-shirt. And I swear to you, I'm not making this up. It was part of a men's group I was in at the time. And my T-shirt said Tallahassee Men of Integrity. And so he calls me in after asking me if I was naked and told him, no, I got on underwear. I'll show you, but he declined. He calls me in, finds out I'm one of the good guys, comes back, tells me all the things he can charge me with. And he's only going to charge me with driving without
pants. No.
Without pants. Yeah. Yeah. And he leaves me with these words of wisdom at 4 a.m. He said, next time, sir, you may want to wear your pants. Right. And so that was a crazy thing. And that story goes on and on and on in lots of ways. Many times when I spoke around town and told this story, somebody would come up to me. And the best one was Officer Bradshaw's mom came up to me once and said, hi, I'm Officer Bradshaw's mom. And I said, you've heard this story, haven't you? The neat thing through some of what I've learned from you is I turned that story into a keynote talk called Life Lessons Learned in My Underwear.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's especially, we'll be doing episodes on speaking and getting paid to speak and making a business out of it. And these unique things that happen to you that are kind of a disaster at the time end up making you millions of dollars over time. So anytime something's bad happened to you, if you live through it, we'll turn it into a story and make money on it. Yeah, awesome. So what's the best thing about working for yourself and the worst thing?
There's so many best things, Tom. I mean, the best thing is the freedom. And up there with that is the difference you get to make in helping people and helping other people get their message out there. And my youngest son and I volunteer for an organization called Lighthouse Family Retreat. And they work with kids and families living through childhood cancer, and they serve them by taking them on a beach retreat for a week where they just get to be a family and don't have to fool with any of these things. And recently I launched a new information product, 100% of which went to as a fundraiser to that group for this summer. So you get to do stuff like that too.
Weren't you hiking or something or doing the Appalachian Trail? Or I thought I saw that.
No, that's one that's coming up.
It's coming up. Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be another one. This was just, I sold an information product for a discount and, with the notion that 100% of it went to Lighthouse.
Right. And that's beautiful. But this Appalachian thing, I'm thinking, how many people can just tell their boss, I need to take a week off and go hike the Appalachian Trail. And they said, well, just go ahead and take the rest of your life off because you're fired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Make it a long walk.
Yeah, really.
Now, that one's coming up and I'm currently negotiating with my boss to
yeah, right. Exactly. So what's coming up? What do you promote now? What are some things people can get off you that would help them?
Well, I see one of my jobs is to always be looking around for the best ways and new ways to get your content out there. I check them all out, and most, are not going to be that great, but I check them out. And then every now and then you come across one that, this can work. And so we've been conditioned by cartoons and comics to pay attention to all these memes you see online, right? And they're fun. We get to laugh at them. And one day I thought, what if you could market with these things? So I've created a course called Magnetic Meme Marketing, and it shows you how to take those and use them for marketing, both to build your list and to sell your information products. And we've come up with a term called whack it, bracket, and stack it.
Whack it. I heard you say whack it. I thought you might be going a certain way. I'm glad you're not.
This is a family show, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's what's going on right now. And the students that are in there now are saying, oh my goodness, this is the most fun and effective way to market my business. So I love hearing that.
This will be a course that somebody can take anytime?
Absolutely. Magnetic marketing. Magnetic.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. We're going to have a link in the show notes for everybody to check that out because Jeff is right on the cutting edge of all the interesting ways to cut through. There's so much noise out there that you have to continually find ways to cut through it for your business. So that sounds like a great one. We got to take a brief break from a message from our sponsor. And when we come back, we'll get Jeff to tell us what a typical day looks like and how he stays motivated. We'll be right back.
Today, almost 2 billion of you will go online, retrieving over 100 billion searches for information, goods, and services, and 6 million of you will view a page on the internet before this commercial is over. The world has changed, and so has the way we do business. At the Internet Marketing Training Center, you can study online at your pace to fit your schedule, and you can graduate with the skills and knowledge to compete in the global marketplace or start your own home-based business. Call us today or go online at imtcva.org because it's about time. Yours.
All right, we're back with super duper Jeff Herring, the content marketing guy. Jeff, what's a typical day look like for you?
Well, I'm one of those early risers. I'm usually up by 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Wow.
And exercise and then dive into my day creating and publishing content. So I've usually worked out and created content, shipped it, and taken my youngest son to school by 9. And then the rest of the day is creating information products, doing webinars.
You're a webinar maniac, aren't you?
I love those things, and all these Facebook Live things too. And then working with my clients, either in groups or some of my private clients one-on-one. And usually, other than nighttime events like webinars and others, usually by the time I pick up my son from high school, I'm done. And then, he and I are either working out again or doing some kind of stuff.
That's great. Now, you really have a diverse following. I heard that a dog has a blog because of you. Is that true?
That's right. There's three at the house right now.
I heard some jingling. I didn't know if you were belly dancing while we were talking or if that was a leash.
That's that Dancing with the Stars thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
One of the dogs moved out with John, in order to get married. That's Paisley. We call her Paisley.
Is that like a dowry? You had to give up a dog and a goat or something?
That's right. Yeah. She's right by me right now. And then the youngest one is Duke, the giant puppy. He's a big shepherd husky wolf. But the one you're talking about is my first dog, Buddy, the internet dog. And we found him on the internet as a rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And he lays at my feet when I'm working on the internet. So yeah, he's got his own blog and his own Facebook page. So
what kind of stuff does he talk about, like nutrition, nutritional bones, and how to get your owner to do what you want?
Thoughts from Buddy, or that kind of thing, and then occasional dog stuff as well.
And what's the name of that?
Buddy, the internet dog.
Buddy, the internet dog. So, how do you stay motivated when you're working by yourself?
My goodness, you assume I do. And we all struggle with that, right? But here's what keeps me going is the results. Okay? The results of course, income for me and the freedom and lifestyle that brings, and the results of income for my students that brings, and even over and above that, when somebody changes their life because of something I've taught,
Mm-hmm.
or they get to go change some lives because of something I taught, that's what keeps me going. And just, I did not expect this at my son's wedding. Of course, it was an emotional moment. I'm very, very proud of him, and he's married a great girl. One of his groomsmen is one of his friends forever, who basically grew up at our house over the years from middle school on up. And he walked up to me, shook my hand, and this is not a guy who's serious most of the time. And he looked me in the face and said, "I just want to thank you for everything."
Wow.
And, my pleasure. So when you get that kind of feedback from students and clients and get to do that pretty much every day, that'll keep you motivated. The other thing that this lifestyle business allows me to do, I've been leading this group of, they're now high school guys at church since 6th grade, group of about 40 guys, and watching them grow up and be a mentor to them. And then I get to co-lead a group for grown men that we meet every Friday for breakfast, and just watching those guys grow and doing something that allows you to have that time. If that doesn't get you up with a smile on your face and send you to bed happily exhausted, then something's wrong.
Awesome. That's great advice. So do you have any parting thoughts for all the screwballs that listen to this on starting a business or taking their business to the next level with content marketing?
I love that, screwballs. That's good. That's vintage Tom Antion. Yeah, and I would say to develop your DRGRs, and a DRGR is your daily revenue generating routines. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We all get so busy and the internet can be so distracting. Take the time to figure out what are the things you're doing that are making a difference and what are the things you're doing that are making you a profit. Okay. And make darn sure those things get done every day. And then if you've got some extra time and you want to get lost on Facebook, go ahead. But don't do that first, thinking you've accomplished something, and then come to the end of the day going, what did I really do?
I just watched 8 hours of YouTube videos and, and I didn't make any money.
About cats and bacon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do people reach you if they want to connect?
Best thing to do is just go to jeffherring.com, JEFFHERRING.com. Find out more about what I do, and there's ways to get yourself some cool sample templates and some other things over there.
Yeah, we'll have that in the show notes for everybody. This is episode number 5. Of course, we want Jeff on early because he's a guy that can really, really help you. So
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jeff, for taking time out, and congratulations on the wedding, getting rid of one of the kids. So
I got a raise this weekend, man.
Yeah. And for everybody out there, make sure you visit screwthecommute.com for the show notes for this show, the webinars, all the things we have over there for you. And make sure you don't spend any money on higher education until you watch our webinar on higher education. It could save you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. So check that out. And everybody, we'll see you in the next episode. Catch you later.